All right, so there you have it. This is the Lenovo E5. I've just realised that we didn't take our sunglasses off. Can we do all that again?
All of it? How often does this happen?
Hello again, my name is David Watts from Lenovo Press, and I have with me today Dave Ridley. He's one of the product managers in the Enterprise Business Group in UK and Ireland, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yep. And today we have the Flex System X440. This is our 4-socket Flex System server, right?
That's right, yep.
Yep. And so we're going to go through the major components inside and out. But before we go any further, let's take our sunglasses off, shall we?
Okay.
I mean, I should point out we're actually
we're
outside in Building 8 on the EBG campus, and over the lake on the other side, that's Building 7. That's where this system's actually developed. And the developers loaned us this system today, so we didn't have very far to get it.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, so what have we got on the front of the system?
So starting over on the left-hand side, we've got a USB 2 port. Enables us to plug in USB devices into the system. We've also got a port here for connecting a keyboard, video, mouse and a serial interface cable. It's a kind of dongle that hangs off if you want local access to the system when it's plugged in. The other thing that we've also got along here are the drive bays. We'll describe those in a little bit more detail in a while.
These are hot swap drive bays.
They're hot swap drive bays, that's right, yeah. We'll cover those when we pull the lid off and have a look inside as to where the drives are and where they're fitted. We've also got down here really handy little tabs where you can put labels on the system. So if you want to label it up with its system name or unique name, rather than having to stick labels on the outside of the system here, you can put them on here and they don't interfere with the airflow. So it's a really good little design feature there. People don't always realise they're hidden away in that location. Then as we move along here, we've also got an on-off button, and then we have 3 LEDs. We have a locate LED that's here. It would be blue if it was on. We also have an attention or an LED for light path. So there's 3 LEDs.
And then the power on.
And the power on
LED as well, yeah.
That's right, the power LED that tells you the power's running. And then if there were a fault on the system, we could remove the system, press the button, and the LEDs on the top here would light up and tell us where the fault was located.
So
and
this is part of the light path diagnostic system of the server, right?
Yes, it's a light path diagnostics,
so
which is a...
You start with the fault light on the front.
Yep.
Power the machine off. You can then access the light path diagnostic panel, press the button, the power button to reactivate this panel, and that'll show you where to go to look further, right?
That's right, yeah. There's LEDs inside the system against all the memory modules and various components. Right. Yeah.
Well, let's have a look inside. We'll take the cover off and have a look at the components on the inside, shall we?
Sounds perfect. I'll let you do that.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
So, big picture. It's as I mentioned at the beginning, this is a 4-socket system. Models will come with 1 or 2 processors standard, and that will be the 2 processors at the back. If you have 4 processors, then you would have 1, 2, 3, 4 processors. You can see that the 2 processors at the back have a higher heatsink, a taller heatsink, so that the ones at the back can still get cool air over the top of the front-mounted processors. They have a shorter heatsink at the front. Besides those, you can see there's these black plastic things. Dave, what are these?
Yeah, they're airflow baffles. So
right,
they're designed to provide the correct airflow through the system and make sure we cool things in the correct way, make sure we maintain temperatures around the system.
So you leave these on when the system is running to ensure that air flows properly through the system and all the components get cooled properly. We'll take them off now for the purposes of this video. So, total of 48 memory DIMMs?
That's right, yep.
What's the configuration?
Yeah, so you can do 48 memory DIMMs. We can do 1.5 terabytes in total using LR DIMMs. And it's 4 memory channels per processor and 3 DIMMs per channel on each processor. On each processor, so 3 DIMMs per channel, 4 DIMMs. Total of 48 memory DIMMs. Quite a flexible system actually, and gives a lot of cores on a single system.
So these are up to 12 core processor?
12 core processors,
models?
that's right, yep.
Yeah, okay, very good. So that's the bulk of the internals of the system. Let's talk about the drives.
Yeah,
you mentioned that these are 2.5-inch
Yes,
drive bays, hot swap.
So what we've got as standard is the 2.5-inch drive bays, which are hot swap, and in these we've actually got a couple of drives. We've actually got some solid state drives that are in there in 2.5-inch bays. enclosures rather, that plug in. But what we can also do is add an additional RAID controller to the system, which fits over at the back here. And that enables us to add in up to 8 solid state drives, 4 of which are fitted here.
Yeah, so we put these back again, you'll see what it means. So with the air baffles in place, the RAID subsystem, which is an adapter back here, connects to 4 1.8-inch solid state drives at the front.
Correct.
And then 4 more drives internally, and they sit on top of this unit here, and then this half of the air baffle on this side, to give you a total of 8 drives.
That's right.
The RAID controller is the ServRAID M5115, so you can do RAID 5, RAID 6, optionally RAID 50, RAID 60 as well, and there's a variety of other upgrades that are available through the Features on Demand system.
Yeah. And we support a whole range of different drives, both SSD and normal drives. You know,
right. So I think currently the solid state drives can be up to 1.6 terabytes, and the SAS drives are up to 1.2 terabyte drive capacities. Yeah.
Okay.
So the drives at the front are hot swap, of course. I mean, you can tell from the orange handle, indicating that these are hot swappable. Of course, the ones that are internal, those will be only available and replaceable when the system's powered off, because you've pulled it out of the chassis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at the I/O now, isn't it?
Yes, let's have a look at what we have back here. So the X440 has space for 4 I/O adapters. There's 2 installed here and here, and there's a space for a 3rd and a 4th. Now, if you only have 1 or 2 processors, you can have 2 cards installed, right?
These 2 here.
The one here and one here. If you have 4 processors installed, then that gives you enough PCIe lanes to have all 4 adapters.
And actually, this gives us a huge amount of I/O on a 4-socket machine, because each one of these adapters can have 8 lanes, up to 8 lanes, depending on how, the kind of adapter that you put in there. So the actual architecture allows us to have an enormous amount of I/O connected into the mid-plane of the system. This would actually plug into the chassis mid-plane, and then would connect through to the relevant switches or I/O modules at the back of the system.
Let's pop one of these out and have a look at it. All Flex System I/O adapters are the same form factor. This one's the EN4172, is that right?
Yeah.
So this is a 2-port 10 gig.
10 gig.
We also offer 1 gig as well as the 10 gig in the Ethernet, and we have 8 gig and 16 gig fiber channel, right?
Yeah.
So they all look very similar because they all fit in the same connector. So this adapter can go in any of these 4 positions.
And you just pop out the little cap if you want to populate it. Yep.
Right. Now, if you do have the ServRAID M5115, that's the adapter that gives you the 8 internal drives, then you wouldn't put an Ethernet or fiber channel adapter, an Ethernet adapter in bay 1. You would instead put those in the other connectors as well. And then these 4 adapters, these route to the switches in the enclosure, right? The Flex System Enterprise chassis. So let's talk a little bit about what the chassis provides to the compute nodes.
Yeah, so the chassis provides everything that the compute node needs in terms of power and cooling, also management. So routed around the back of this system, you'll see here are the power pickups where the
so this one
server
here,
picks the
one
power
here
up.
as well. Yeah.
And we also have some interfaces that connect to I/O or management, should I say? So this is the management interface here, where we can.
So these plug in the compute nodes plug into the mid plane of the chassis.
That's right, and the mid plane would sit here.
Yeah.
So we have basically we have 4 of these connectors which plug into the mid plane. So the mid-plane effectively joins the server to the modules that are at the back, and there can be 4 modules plugged in at the back of the system, and those modules you'd match up. So if you had a fiber channel here, you'd match it with a fiber channel in the back. If you have an Ethernet here, you'd match it with an Ethernet in the back.
Right.
And the idea is that you match those up, and then you get the high throughput and performance that you need. And each one of these adapters has a certain number of lanes enabled, depending on the kind of adapter it is. So this actually has 2 10 gig lanes enabled, and will connect to 2 10 gig switches in the back.
And so all the compute nodes that are in the chassis connect to that one, or that pair of switch modules that are in the back of the unit.
Yeah.
Back of the chassis.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the chassis is fully redundant, so it has multiple power supplies, up to 6 power supplies, 2500 watt. We can do 48 volt DC. We can do high voltage power supplies. There's a whole mixture of different power supplies that can go in there, but there are multiple power supplies for redundancy, and there are also multiple fans. We've got 80mm and 40mm fans to provide cooling, to pull airflow through the front of the system and out to the back, and multiple paths actually of airflow, which take air not just through the system, but also through apertures in the front of the chassis and back down into the switches and the chassis management modules and various components inside the system to make sure it's really.
And that's really the benefit of the flex system configuration versus a rack mount system, because you've got common power and cooling and switching. It's all integrated.
That's right.
But it's all shared.
It's shared
in the one chassis.
You only deploy what you need. Say, for example, if you were doing, we can fit, say, 14 standard width nodes inside a chassis. Well, if you did 14 servers, you'd need 28 power supplies if they were rack mount, and you need multiple cables, multiple fibre cables. You'd have to wire them up. You'd have to connect them up. Whereas deploying one of these is a simple job. You just open these levers up here, and basically slide the system into the chassis, close the levers, the latches. System's deployed, everything connects all at the same time, and it really is a very fast time to value, very quick and easy to deploy, very fast.
Yep. So other components inside the machine, there are a couple of USB ports internally. There's one here and then one back here, and those are for the VMware vSphere hypervisors that the system supports. You can have 2 of those. Both will be then visible to UEFI as boot devices. The system, of course, has onboard SAS controller for the two adapters. Sorry, the 2 drives, or you use the server aid card instead. I think that's about it, Dave. Anything more?
No, I think we've covered it off.
Yep. So there you go. So this is the Lenovo Flex System x440 compute node.
Yep.
With Intel Xeon E5-4600 V2 processors. Hope you found the video useful.
Should we go and get a beer?
Let's do it. All right. See you later.
Cheers.